This week on the Droids, Mando Season 2 news out the wazoo. There's so much to talk about because every bit of casting has been released. It's happening. We're still getting Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to talk all about the Mando this week on the Droids. Welcome back to the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. Alongside Chris, Ryan, and Sam, I am Mike, and thrilled to be talking about the fact the Mandalorian Season 2 is still happening. Despite everything going on in the world, in October, we will see the second season of The Mandalorian because apparently they wrapped the majority of filming, or all the filming they needed. They're just in post for this entire time. So the timing worked out. There's this thing to look forward to.
Jon Favreau is an indie filmmaker. He knows how to get it done quick.
Right.
You know, when he was on Jungle Book, it only took them 185 days of shooting on a mocap stage.
I heard that they shut all the lights off and then they came back to the volume where they film it at, and it was done. It's become
It was
sentient.
like a murder mystery of a movie.
Yeah, the volume is now sentient.
Well, when you have the entire world that they're now creating digitally around the characters, I guess you can shoot that no matter what's happening.
Well, yeah, I heard that John Wayne's nephew shot it on his iPhone. Just his parts, right?
John Wayne's nephew, I think it's become more and more clear that really there's only been one scene where Pedro Pascal was in the armor.
Well, but like, do they interview him
it's so
in that
crazy.
show? That the like.
I think so. I haven't watched the episode yet. The third episode is about the cast, and I know that the takeaway from a lot of people, and we need to watch it, is that there was a lot more of John Wayne's nephew or it was a nephew or grandson, than there was a Pedro.
It's so. I mean, I felt like this was obvious from the get go. It's two stunt performers, like motion performers, and Pedro Pascal's doing the voice. And I think like Disney should just like rebill it. They should bill it correctly. It's dumb. I'm so mad about it.
You want them to put above
famously has that voice of his, you know.
I mean, look, I like
I
Pedro
do Mandalorian
Pascal too.
voice.
This is not an anti Pedro Pascal issue, and like I'm sure his agents did great work to get him the billing, and that they wanted a name and they needed a name, But it's like you're dismissing and certainly paying these people like not what they're actually earning. They're doing the role, and it's a joint effort.
You're dismissing John Wayne's grandson, whose name we don't know, who got there on his own merits and deserves the billing, whatever his name may be.
Isn't it Brandon? Is it Brandon Wayne?
Brandon.
Ryan's right. I don't know.
I don't know, and I hardly care.
And a tip of the cap to Pedro Pascal's agents from Sam.
I think it was
it's everybody
great work
over at
on
CAA who really fought hard.
We got a gift bag coming your way.
I guess it's
it's
like
Brendan Wayne.
I guess it's like
Wayne.
if you're a voice actor for an animated film, they're not like listing the animators at the same level. So maybe it's something like that. It just feels weird that like I don't know. Maybe it's like I wonder what they do for the Spider-Man movies, or like any other costumed hero or costumed
Tobey
character.
Maguire's in the suit for every Spider-Man movie. Still,
He's still doing it.
no matter what, he's still doing it.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
part
I
of the
saw
deal.
Spider-Man playing poker in one of those scenes, and I thought, that's not Tom Holland.
He's really good. Oh my gosh, what a good move. I would have never thought he would have pulled the river like that.
If Pedro Pascal can show up for a Zoom of a script read of Community, I think he can show up for the actual episodes in The Mandalorian.
Well, he showed up for
Guys,
the
I
Zoom
take it
of
back.
the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he did show up in the Zoom of Mandalorian.
Yeah, there is Zoom in The Mandalorian.
My favorite part of the Community live read was that every time anybody said man, Dan Harmon would just add DeLorean at the end of it. Like
That's
every
hilarious.
time.
I
So
need
Pedro
to read
Pascal
that.
would
I
say
need to
something.
watch
He's
that.
like, I'm just a man. Or he'd be like, DeLorean.
That Dan Harmon
was
sure
so
is
good.
funny and not problematic at all.
No problems. Just like so many people that we know and celebrate.
Whoa.
Well,
we're gonna have no
honest,
friends at the end of this. Pedro Pascal's mad at us. Dan Harmon's mad at us.
Yeah.
No, I take back
All
the
of
Pedro.
I'm gonna have
CAA.
people screaming Szechuan sauce outside my apartment soon.
Yeah. Oh man, I want some McNuggets.
Oh, jeez.
It's 8:30 in the morning.
Podcast
just so
already
people
took
know.
a turn.
You're not wrong. Chris, let's put a pause on this Mando conversation.
Yeah,
we need to talk about we need to check in because we've all been inside for a long time. I would love some McNuggets.
I have my wife very nicely bought me frozen chicken nuggets because I said I haven't had chicken nuggets in years.
Oh.
And yesterday I just wasn't trying. One day, some days you wake up and you're like, I just don't have it in me to try. So for dinner I just took a flour tortilla and put chicken nuggets and cheese in it.
Wow. You just made a snack wrap, my friend.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? If I can't go there to get it, which I guess conceivably I could.
You could. I will tell you that I recently did go to a McDonald's. Felt pretty good going up, and then the person serving my food had the mask below their nose, and I'm like, well, that's just pointless. What are you doing?
I'd say 70% of the
policy,
people I see
sir.
out have the mask below their nose, and I don't know
you're right.
if they don't know how to wear the mask or if they're just done wearing the mask. I don't know.
I think there are just too many oversized masks out there.
You guys know that those. I mean, those masks. They're uncomfortable. So
are you saying
I think
little
it's,
mouth hole?
My
So
wedding
I
was
think it's
going out the other day, and she had a mask on, and then I looked, and it was actually Brendan Wayne, John Wayne's grandson. I couldn't believe it. I said this whole
We
time
wouldn't
I
have been
thought it
able
was my
to
wife.
tell.
Ryan, I
only
thought you were going to
mask-
say that no one cared about you until you put on the mask.
Oh, that's good.
As good as Mike, we both went there. I was
Chris.
gonna say the only mask that matters is Jim Carrey's The Mask, and that's the only one that really changes your situation. That's hilarious.
What's hilarious is that
Well,
Chris
it's
thought those were the
confirmed.
same
I'm
joke.
watching. I'm watching The Mask tonight.
Love the mask.
What was that? Jim
I
Carrey
loved
and
watching
Cher?
that movie when there was a What did you say, Chris?
Just Jim Carrey and Cher. Is it The Mask or Mask? I can't remember now.
oh boy.
I wonder how many times I've met for the kids out there who have no idea what we're talking about, and even for people who were alive. The Cher movie Mask, I think from 1984, starring Eric Stoltz,
I think so.
which is very sad and upsetting.
You mean the Back to the Future
Oh,
guy?
I've never seen
Yeah,
it.
if you,
Yeah,
the guy from the
famously-
cutscenes in Back to the Future.
Famously,
No, hey,
almost
his-
star Back
His
to the
head
Future.
makes it into Back to the Future. There's a point that Biff punches Marty McFly, and that's still his head. So
Really?
he's in there.
Really?
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's crazy.
You say, is
Alternate
that
timeline.
the guy from the Bachelor Party and Jerry Maguire? You recognize it instantly.
Man, what a career!
Well, back to the Mandalorian, who I think I've seen online is the perfect at social distancing. You have to say he wears a mask, stays away from people, only hangs out with himself. I think he's great.
I don't know what the
That's
Mandalorian mask
example.
does, because I know that the Stormtrooper masks, they filter out
They
smoke,
don't.
but not toxins.
Not toxins.
It's not toxic.
That's right. You got to
There you
wear
go.
that weird mask thing that they have on the Falcon.
When they
to
ordered
filter out
those,
toxins.
Mike, and I know you're trying to get on track, but when they ordered
No,
those
I wanna hear this.
Stormtrooper masks, was the person at the factory like, we could filter out smoke and toxins? And they were like, no. We want smoke filtered, but not toxins. And he said, they're pretty much the same filter. And they said, well, you get me one that filters out smoke, but not toxins.
Ryan,
Well, they're
I
10
wanted you to
cents more a
continue that
mask.
because I had the same question. I didn't understand. Why does it filter out smoke and
Seems
not
like the
toxins?
same
What's the
mechanism,
point?
doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Toxins
It costs a little more
toxins
per
are
man.
smaller.
yeah, costs
Maybe
a
the
little more per
stormtroopers
mask.
are just like, look, we want to get high off these toxins, so do not eliminate our options.
Famously, huffing has been tearing through the ranks of the First Order.
It's a tough job. You got to find some way to escape.
Well, they did have to build that
Somebody
whole
back
base.
in-
You have to imagine there was a lot of industrial cleaners and paint around.
It's true.
So you would, yeah, you got to filter them out. Well, I do want to say I'm just there's a lot that we have had postponed this year. There's a lot that we do not get to go experience, and even if we do, it's maybe in the fall. and it still seems unlikely. Like there's a possibility we may not be going back to the theaters even beyond this year, which is a scary thing to consider.
Oh man, 4 weeks. I'm going to see Tenet.
Yeah,
I'm going to go see Unhinged. I'm going to go see
the summer, that Russell Crowe movie.
The big announcement, the first movie that's taking the big leap, that's stepping in. I can't wait, man. Unhinged.
Yeah.
It's you know what it is? It's a 2020 movie about road rage.
You want to see a puffy Russell Crowe hit people with his pickup truck? Go see Unhinged.
How everybody today is talking about road rage.
It's very clear, like a producer in LA was just being tired of being stuck in traffic.
I'm just glad
this would be a great movie.
I'm just finally glad that we're gonna get that, just a movie to sort of cathartically like release what we've all been feeling, road rage. It's like a 30-year-old 2020 episode.
Yeah.
Well, when Unhinged gets released in 2023 and Tenet gets released next year, we'll all be happy we had The Mandalorian this fall that's actually coming out as I try to get this back on track again, Sam. Thank you. This is just... I'm happy to know there's something with a concrete release date to look forward to that is in the area of things that I'm crazy fan about. And so it's nice to know that's out there and that we're fortunate enough that they got that far along in the production. It buoys my spirits in these dark times to know The Mandalorian Season 2 is on its way. And I didn't even love The Mandalorian as much as I did a lot of other Star Wars content. I still think The Mandalorian's great, but I mean, now I'm over the moon that we get another season and still get to see it in October.
I got to be honest, I'm now terrified for my friend Mike in the case of any kind of delay. The stakes apparently are very high.
The stakes are high. Without The Mandalorian.
Well, I'm afraid to look at Twitter because I'm afraid the universe just heard him.
Because I'm worried, I'm like, I'm going to have a 2-month-old, have a second kid, and I'm going to need to have The Mandalorian to give me that light, to give me that shiny moment away from the tiredness that exists.
Oh, boy. Mike has spoken.
Mike has spoken.
I know. I'm setting myself up for...
You think whatever Disney Plus Christmas release starring Keira Knightley they'll have won't do it for you, Mike?
Ooh, do they have one?
No, but I'm sure they will.
They're following up the Anna Kendrick movie?
Yeah.
I like that.
The best thing, though, I mean, look, we're joking about it. We don't know what could happen. Anything could happen. It could be delayed. There's been just so much shut down. But the good
Only
news
if the
is
world's
that
luck
if it's delayed,
exactly the same.
If it's delayed, the good news is that, Mike, you can just shift all that excitement over to the Snyder Cut, which is coming in 2021. We have a release date-ish.
Oh, boy. We're not going to talk about any of this.
Mike, you and your Twitter cronies really got it done, Mike. We know you've been leading the charge the whole time, and we're really happy for you, man.
Oh, yeah, I tattooed my face.
Let's do the, hey, let's start the hashtag now, release the Lord and Miller cut.
It's like 15 minutes of Todd Glover improving. Yeah. And they're like, that's all we shot. And in the background, you see Ron Howard standing with Kathleen Kennedy pointing at them. Well, speaking of the DCU...
Arrested Development.
Speaking of the DCU, Mike, there's some relevant news with the DCU and the Mandalorian, yes?
Yes, you know what? That's really interesting. It's a good thing I watched Aquaman because otherwise I would not know what you're talking about right now, Ryan. Because coming back into Star Wars, and am I pronouncing his first name correctly? Temuera Morrison is going to be playing Boba Fett. He played Jango Fett, obviously back in the prequels in Attack of the Clones, and he will be returning to play Boba Fett. In what kind of role? Will it be a flashback? Will it be that he survived the Sarlacc pit? We don't know, but the inspiration for the entire clone army is going to get another chance. And honestly, he was pretty good in Aquaman, so I'm excited to see him return. I hadn't seen him in quite some time. Obviously, I even think since Attack of the Clones, and I'm like, wow, he really was underused. He feels like he should have had more opportunities.
So I imagine he's playing Boba Fett the way that Pedro Pascal is playing the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
because I saw Aquaman 2, and also not Aquaman 2. I don't have inside knowledge, but the thing that struck me about that is that you see him next to Nicole Kidman, and you're like, exactly. But yeah, like he's not going to be in the suit, right? Didn't they say Timothy Olyphant will be in the suit?
So
really?
With Timothy Olyphant, that's the other bit of news we have to talk about, has been cast in The Mandalorian. The interesting thing about all these casting news tidbits, they've already shot everything. So they've shot these appearances. It's not a matter of their cast for season 2 coming up. They've already done this.
Do we think that's true?
Do you think
really
that they
shot the entire season?
Well, they did say they were in production
I think so.
as of like the release last year.
How did
So
they pull
when it
that
started
Well, they filmed Attack of the Clones in like a month, so I think
well, that sounds about right.
They really did. I think they could really move this thing out.
So Olyphant is supposed to be playing a character who has received Boba Fett's armor from Jawas who took it from the Sarlacc pit, who were able to somehow get it.
Oh my god!
And this character's name is Cobb Vanth, who was in the Aftermath series by Chuck Wendig. All of us are not really up to date on the novels, except for Sam, who's read the Thrawn trilogy.
He's really
everyone
up
else
to date.
read that too.
Yep, I'm really up to date.
If
I
you
do
haven't
want to
read
read Master and Apprentice, actually. I want to read that because it's got my boy Qui-Gon.
Maybe if any of
tried,
our
Sam,
listeners
it couldn't draw me in.
Have read any of those books, please email us droidspod@gmail.com or Twitter @droidspod, Instagram @droidspod. Let us know if you've read any of the books that involve, what's his name? Timothy Olyphant?
Cobb salad, right? Cobb
salad.
Cobb
salad. Ty Burrell.
Was that a Ty Cobb to Ty Burrell? Jump?
Yes,
I
followed that.
It was.
I followed that.
Thank you. Yeah, mental gymnastics.
Well, there it is.
We're running through. I want to jump back though to Temuera Morrison. The interesting thing to me about that announcement was like they seemed to know that when they announced him, like they seemed to want to jump out in front of the fan speculation of like, oh, will he be playing Rex or will he be playing a clone trooper or anything? Like they came out and announced straight up he will be in the show and he'll be Boba Fett, which is, I think, really, I mean, it's really keen and I think smart PR and kind of like advertising, because how much more buzz is there now that we're like, that first question, the easy question, is answered, right? And now it's like you're left with like the bigger question of like, well, how does that work? Because I thought that guy died. Like I thought that was definitive.
That's amazing. He's also one of the only actors to play his father and his son.
I mean, Chris, aren't we all kind of playing our fathers and our sons?
Oh, it's poetic. Isn't that amazing, though? At first, I was like, "What are they
I
going to
don't
like?"
feel like that's true, though, Chris. I feel like a lot of actors.
I feel like every movie where
I
someone goes back
and
in time,
put on a mustache.
I didn't see that new Scorsese movie.
Look, let's just go back to Michael J. Fox, and he played his son and his daughter.
Oh, that's
he
true.
did play his father and his son. He played himself and then his son.
Yeah,
and his great uncle. Right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, in Back to the Future 3.
Yeah,
Yep.
And Back
Lots
to the
of
Future
extra
2,
makeup
he
on
plays
that
Marty
movie.
McFly Jr., where he's like, I don't know, Biff. I don't know.
Doc.
Well,
that was a good
I think we have to at least say you got to give credit where credit is due. The breaking of the news on this, on Olyphant wearing the Boba Fett armor, was from Slash Film. You know, we didn't break any news here on this podcast, so we got to give some credit and some sourcing on this. The other bit of news in the casting, Katie Sackhoff will be joining the cast as well for The Mandalorian.
So
she will be playing the role that she has had in Clone Wars and Rebels of Bo-Katan, right? I believe that's accurate. I am not at the point in Clone Wars where her character has been introduced yet. We do have a lot of catching up to do. We apologize for those of you who are
One day when we get a lot of time at
series.
home, it'll be like we'll really fly through it. But
You know, if we ever have a gap year, that's when we're going to get this.
I think
Yeah,
I
we'll
find
get
this idea of everybody of like them mixing the cartoon world, and obviously it started that way because Anakin and Obi-Wan are in it, but like having characters who were conceived of in the animated series coming into live action, I think that's thrilling because it means that like they're not doing this thing where they have to separate them. They're not doing the DC like there's the TV world and the movie world, you know, like
yeah.
And Katie Sackhoff,
Except for
is
poor
right on
Ashley
that.
Eckstein.
Say that again. Sorry.
Except for poor Ashley Eckstein, who's not getting to be in the series because Rosario Dawson is taking on Ahsoka.
Listen, if you're going to be replaced by someone, Rosario Dawson should be the person. Sorry, I didn't know I had to repeat. Like, Rosario Dawson's great. Move on.
She's taking your spot on the pod.
Yeah, I think my wife would be thrilled if I took off a mask and I was Rosario Dawson. What a cool person to hang out with.
Is it the Jim Carrey mask?
It is.
Yes, it is.
And it's Cher underneath.
Cher,
So
and then underneath Cher is Rosario Dawson.
There's a couple things I want to bring up just about all this casting, and we can talk a little bit more. I think the Olyphant casting maybe has the most information to go with it, just because and the fact that he seems to be maybe out of this group, obviously, the most famous addition to the series. But with all of this news, it makes me think about that each of these roles could be just a minor blip, almost the way that Ming-Na was only in it for a second. You know,
Sure.
I mean, she was barely in it, and we get excited, and we all get amped up, and we can't wait to see them in it. And it makes me kind of wish that, oh no, we're going to announce that Timothy Olyphant is a series regular, and he's going to be part of it. I liked when that was news, when you used to announce that someone was going to be a prominent part of the story.
Yeah.
Even Cara Dune was only really in, 2 episodes, or I guess 2.5. And so I want to see them commit a little bit more, rather than being like, I'm going to get all these nods and all these references to things I've seen before and things I like with a couple new actors, and Ahsoka may show up and Rosario gets one scene, but that's not really what I want. When they announced that Rosario Dawson would be playing Ahsoka, I thought, great, an Ahsoka series with Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Do you think
The rumor is now with Rosario is that it's going to be an Obi-Wan.
Oh, that she'll be in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Do we think that Ming-Na will be back? Because
I think
I felt
so.
like that was very unresolved, you know?
Well, so that's the rumor, is that the character that Olyphant is playing of Cobb is the Spurs that we see at the end of the episode approaching Ming-Na's
And we know that
character,
Olyphant
Fennec
has
Shan.
some experience wearing some cowboy boots. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
But he's essentially taken over the power structure in Tatooine following the fall of Jabba and the Hutts.
Oh, maybe
This
he's the big bad.
character
And,
is
of course,
the new...
Red Dawn or whatever it was called. What was Maul's group?
Yeah.
Red Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. There you go. Hey, don't forget the details of Solo. It's gonna matter. It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
see
if that's
they
what
pull that
Olyphant's,
one.
if that's the kind of character Olyphant's playing, that is like perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that charming sleaze going.
I think Olyphant should play Cad Bane. They should bring in Cad Bane from Clone Wars. That'd be good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I don't think you can mess with that face and put a bunch of blue makeup on him. I think he's staying the way he is.
He's got a good
people
bone
said the
structure.
same. People said the same about Pedro. So pretty. They're gonna have to take that helmet off sooner or later.
Oh, that's
Nope.
true. You're right.
No,
Well,
it's quicker. You can
people
bang out
didn't
2
know-
seasons if it's with some people.
People didn't know that
you don't have
that
to pay
Pedro was
that well to
basically a
be in the
voiceover.
suit all day.
They figured it out.
Imagine if they took
Hey.
off the helmet and it was Brendan Wayne, but they overdubbed him with Pedro Pascal's voice. That'd be wild.
Or they did a deep fake and put Pedro Pascal's face on Brendan.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, it's probably what they're doing all along. None of the actors are actually they're all deep fakes.
So when you hear all this news, and I think one thing that I thought was called out that was pretty interesting was that we didn't know much of anything about The Mandalorian Season 1. You know, it was pretty much surprises at every turn. No idea there was going to be a Baby Yoda. That in itself was something that just I thought it was great to feel like you were watching something again and had no clue about where it was going and what direction it could take. And now that we know that we're getting, you know, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett back for a moment, this character of Cobb, we have a little bit more of an idea. Is that something that, I don't know, maybe is a little disappointing? Would you prefer to go back to the blind experience? I know some of us on this podcast love spoilers, love knowing more. Is that something that actually makes you more excited knowing that there's some of these things going to be a part of it? Or would you prefer to go in clean the way that I always talk about it?
I think they're gonna manage to surprise us. You know, just like last time, like they did in Episode 1. I think they're gonna kill Baby Yoda, and
Oh, man.
he's not gonna be in the season anymore.
Somebody's be drinking a glass of green milk.
By that point, we're going to be 7 months in quarantine. Everyone's going to need this brightness of
they're
Baby
gonna kill
Yoda, and
Baby
they're going to
Yoda.
kill him.
Yeah.
They're just going to kill
No,
him.
I think we're
Suicide
in an
rate goes
inevitable
through the
course
roof.
where we're just in 10 years it's going to be all Star Wars babies. Like everything just will be.
The Muppet Babies.
I just
Yeah,
can't
Muppet
wait to
Babies and
see.
stuff.
I can't wait to see all the interviews of Jon Favreau saying that he was so inspired by The Empire Strikes Back, and then saying this is really The Empire Strikes Back of Star Wars sequels.
No, I don't mind the little spoilers. My hope for this show is what a lot of like good sci-fi shows I think do, like incrementally build the world. So it's like they kind of expand your purview each season. I think Clone Wars has a lot of that. I hope this show does the same thing, where we're seeing a little more of like a put together universe, rather than these kind of like little vignettes that we got in the first season. I think if they kind of teased out Timothy Olyphant's character allegedly in the first season, maybe he's the new big boss. Maybe he's kind of replacing Werner Herzog, which we saw repeat. He was kind of a main. How many episodes was Werner Herzog in?
He was in, I think, 3 or 4.
3.
Yeah,
I think 3.
So that's a pretty
because he died at the end of 7. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I think that's a substantial role. So I would be happy if Olyphant had something like that.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a substantial role versus a lot of just Fennec Shan. I wanted more of Ming-Na's character, and we only got it for a blip.
I'm interested though, Chris, and I mean this is something we talked about during season 1, like when we were doing our reviews, which was that like the show in season 1 really seemed to be kind of caught between these two worlds of like modern, like serialized storytelling, and then more like old school, almost like 90s cable, like episodic adventures.
Yeah.
Like they kind of had this two halves of the season.
Yeah, like Xena Warrior Princess kind of vibe.
And I think I personally would kind of love like that throwbacky episodic thing. Like I almost like my vote would be like, don't tie it all together, just do like these one-offs with interesting characters.
Sure.
And you seem to be saying the opposite, which was like you'd like to see it, all tied in more, and like so where do we all fall on that?
I think story-wise, I just mean more like consistency of the world. Just like give us more spaces to play in like build the set out a little bit bigger.
I think with things like this, I think that like with the tone, I think Firefly would be like a good like format in terms of like the characters. I mean, obviously there was only 13 episodes, but the characters kind of grew and that expanded and the world expanded, but every episode was kind of its own little adventure. I think that that's a good way to do it, where it's like if they're not going to have this super serialized thing, which I don't think we need. It's like we have enough of that. Like, why not have, like, an adventure of the week, and then there are, like, these little things, like, there's, like, the big mystery, and then the episodic mysteries, or, adventures.
Well, it's kind of like the way that Clone Wars or Rebels would build to a 4-episode arc towards the end of the season. That works. I think the challenge for me is I just want to know that going in, because I didn't know that for season 1, and then when it made the dramatic shift from the first couple episodes, that was so jarring. And I don't know. No one should have to come out and be like, "Hey, let's tell you exactly what we're doing with a season." But it felt so clear that we all knew. We're like, "Oh, this is 8 episodes of one story, and we're all building to this, and that's what it's set up with in the first couple episodes, and then it changed."
Well, I would say that's a flaw in the storytelling in terms of how they spread it out, because the first 2 episodes, I think, were this like it did continue on. It was basically like a 2-parter. And if you begin it that way, that's the language you've established. So everybody thinks like, oh, this is continuing on. Where if the first episode ended cleanly, the next episode started like, oh, it's a new adventure, I think you would get it more, as opposed to like it seeming like, oh, we're just continuing on.
Definitely.
That's why the 4th episode, I think that's the one that takes place in the village, was like so jarring.
Yeah, that was
They could have made episode 1 and 2 one episode. And just be like, this is our 50-minute or hour-long episode.
The length of the episode also is kind of puzzling for that format, because, I mean, usually even those syndicated shows, they're a 40-minute episode. So to have it be the reduced time of like 20 minutes to a half hour, like I think that makes it difficult to do these like one-shots, because you're not getting the establishment that you need from all like the side characters right away. Like it's very condensed feeling. So it feels like those are just like pages in a comic book that you're kind of going through until you get to the big fights.
That's true.
Let's make each episode 1 hour is what I'm saying.
I do wonder, do we know how many episodes is in season 2 yet? Do we know any of that?
No. Has it been released? I thought they announced some of the directors, but I hadn't heard. I just assumed they were doing another 8.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I mean that would kind of be my guess as well, but I just didn't know. All right, well we'll confirm it here on the pod. It's 8.
Here's a scoop. I just talked to John. 8 episodes. Just got off his Zoom call with John and Dave.
Sam, Ryan, what does your coin say? I think it was written on the back of the coin.
Yeah. My chef coin says 8 episodes, season 2.
8 is always enough for every season.
Yeah.
There you go. Wow.
Well, I'm eagerly anticipating that. I think other news, there really hasn't been a 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. If you've already enjoyed our live watch of Empire Strikes Back, we'll try to maybe get out that version.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a promise here, but we will be releasing the audio of our live watch of Empire Strikes Back as well as Star Wars.
Yep. And that exists on Facebook and our YouTube right now.
That's right. You can check them out there. That's a great place to see them before we then release them as an audio version, podcast only.
Also,
and then we will be doing Return of the Jedi.
Also, 2 days ago as of this recording, 3 days ago as of this release, it was the 15th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith being released in theaters.
Oh, yeah?
May 19th,
We're working our way through.
Babies.
Yeah.
Are we doing live watches in release date order? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to go back to Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I believe we kind of have to.
Oh, I like this. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I cannot wait for our Rise of Skywalker live watch. I'm going to get a few drinks in me.
I'm committing all of us.
And
really let loose.
I still haven't seen it a second time.
Wow.
I mean, unlike The Last Jedi, where we constantly were trying to tell you had to, I'm not going to force you to do anything here, Sam.
Don't do anything.
It is actually funny. Yeah, I guess I've taken the same approach, but for different reasons. One, it was like, I want to preserve perfectly in amber this like beautiful experience and make it as rich every time I watch it with The Last Jedi and like with The Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, yeah, I think I got it. Got it. Didn't like
the
it.
food you ate.
Just
think about the food you ate at the theater the time you saw it. That's what I do.
Think about that theater experience, and I think obviously theater experience. We've seen 2 Star Wars movies together as a full podcast group. But my favorite
and that'll probably be
as a group. Well,
that's it.
When they release another Star Wars movie, we're all going to find our way to the same place in 3 years or whatever that will be.
Yep, I'll put on my Jim Carrey mask. I'll be right over.
But I do want to say one of my favorite moments was Endgame, seeing it with all of you, and especially the moments, 2 that I remember, Chris showing up a little bit late because he got on the wrong bridge. And then Ryan had to walk out because the whole moment. I get it. It was just like there was too much.
Yeah,
it was 6:30 in the morning. I had too much coffee and not enough to eat. I didn't have anything to eat. I just had coffee, and then I got so excited when everybody came back that I had a panic attack and I had to leave the theater.
I remember you looked at me. You said, "I have to leave for a moment." You said it very calmly.
Well, yeah, it's a raging storm inside.
Like,
outside, I mean, I guess maybe the ushers who saw me sitting on the floor outside may have sensed something was wrong.
Yeah,
that was a fun experience.
And Ryan, I'm not making light of that at all.
Oh,
I'm
Mike,
more so
please.
just like,
listen,
memories.
We're buddies for life. You don't have to worry about stuff like that. I'm making light of it. Not that anxiety is something that, you know what I mean. Anyone out there who struggles with anxiety attacks, I feel you. But I had one and I missed the complete end of Endgame.
Well, please let us know about your favorite theater experiences with a group. You're by yourself. I've had some great times going to the movie theater by myself. I would have to say it's one of my favorite ways to experience a movie. There's no expectation of me having to, tell other people, like people on a podcast, what I think of it.
If you do want a pure experience,
droidspot@gmail.com.
If you want a pure experience of whether you liked a movie or not, go see it alone.
Yeah.
It's like you really like. Every movie I've gone to see alone, I generally end up liking because I'm just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's how I was. The last movie I saw in theaters was Sonic the Hedgehog. So,
wait, what was? All right, so I saw in 1917 was the last thing I saw in theaters. Ryan, Sam,
last thing I saw in theaters was Little Women. I saw it on New Year's Day.
Oh, good.
I don't know. I'll have to go back through. I haven't seen him. I can't remember the last time.
The Rise of Skywalker?
I think it was Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
wow. Put you off
not
movies
a good way
altogether.
to go out there, Sam.
I'm pretty sure. Because
then it's like January's kind of dumping.
I don't go to as many movies. I think I'm very much like more in the I mean, if it's not a huge like big kind of budget like gotta see it on a big screen with the surround sound type movie
like Sonic. Like Sonic.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog. I really I don't know. I almost hate to say it because I feel like it's like an uncool filmy thing, but it's like I like watching it at home. I really like the experience.
Boy, Sam.
I like renting or buying it on iTunes and setting up my own.
To counter
space.
that, the theater's the only way to go. See movies in theaters. Forget home. Don't stream. Just see it. Go in a theater now. Break in. I drive by an abandoned theater. I want to go check it out.
We definitely do not endorse this on the pod.
Yeah, Mike does not speak for the podcast and saying go to the theater now, break in. Although Christopher Nolan has said that he wants his fans to break in to go see Tenet in 35 millimeter.
Like I will say, like,
and I'll be doing that.
I was thinking about this recently because
Sam, I'm going to have to cut you off here. We're out of time.
I want to see the new James Bond movie when it comes out. I would love to see that. I would love to see that in theaters. I am at a place where I'm just like, if by November it doesn't feel safe to go to the theater, I would want them to just just release it on digital, and I would pay.
Oh, dude.
Like, I'd pay $50. I'd pay $50 to own that movie, like, today.
There you go.
And for me,
there you go.
For
$50.
me, there's nothing.
And it would be like you rent it. The $50 gets you like a 48-hour rental, and then 2 months later you get the movie forever. That's what it should be.
Ryan,
you know what I mean?
last word before we wrap this up.
There are a few things that would make me giggle with glee more. Not that I want movie theaters to open, so I don't want this to be the case. But there's something so funny to me about the thought of Christopher Nolan having to watch his movie be released on VOD. I think that'd be it would never happen, obviously. It's a money maker.
It wouldn't happen.
My God, it would be so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
It would have to be 5 years from now that we've never been back to the theater that he would do that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want us to watch it digitally. I need that guy to calm down.
Released on your Amazon Echo.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you can only watch it on your phone. Oh.
Audio.
Well, that is going to do it.
They recut it for Quibi.
Oh, boy.
Delicious.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of The Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. Sam, I'm just cutting you off. Sorry, man. This is it. We're done. Episode's over. We'll get you next week. This has been The Droids You're Looking For,
Christopher Nolan directed
Star Wars
Batman
podcast.
What they throw. Annie?
I got it in for you, Sam.
I'm Jar Jar.
I'm trying to respect Ryan's time to cut this off.
Yeah, my
He's
therapist
making
is
it
going to call me in
difficult.
4 minutes.
What a ramp up.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be manic for the call.